The St. Louis Blues are going to be hosting the Arizona Coyotes tonight, and there is a lot to talk about. But the biggest story going on right now is who is in net, and that is Joel Hofer getting his first start of the season. What does this mean for the St. Louis Blues? Well, I will talk about it coming up here on Locked on Blues.
You're Locked on Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked on Blues. I'm your host of Locked on Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things St. Louis Blues hockey. I cannot believe that it is game day first and foremost. It has been a 4-day gap between these games. The Blues last played on Saturday, and it is now Thursday, which is unbelievable to me. But puck drop is at 7 p.m. here at Enterprise against the Coyotes. I want to consider my game day shows kind of like a pregame show because I like to wait until I get all of the information from morning skates. And that way, this is the most up-to-date podcast before the game goes on. So on today's episode, I will be talking to you about the Blues lines and, of course, the game preview. And I always ask you on social media at Locked On Blues to give me predictions. So I'll be diving into that as well. Joel Hofer will be in net tonight. And after Binnington has had a fantastic start to the season, 63 out of 65 goals saved, he's not in net, but I don't think it's anything to worry about, and I'll dive into that. And then, of course, Pavel's injury, he's still out. Should this be a worry to you? And I'm going to talk about why I think he will be okay and how this was kind of expected. So do not panic yet. I wanted to put that out there because I don't want any panicking throughout this episode. Before I dive deeper into things about today's episode here on Locked On Blues, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So tonight, as we know, the Blues are playing one of my least favorite teams in the NHL, which is the Arizona Coyotes. I am not a fan of the Coyotes. I will never be a fan of the Coyotes, and that's what it is. Okay? So today's lines, basically, it's no surprise when it comes to, the forwards. It all stayed the same. Nothing changed. Defense, same thing, nothing changed. But in net, it will be Joel Hofer, and I will be talking about that in more detail coming up in the next segment. But just to give you the rundown for all of my loyal St. Louis Blues fans and my everydayers here of the Locked On Blues podcast. In the first line tonight, it will be centered by our boy, Robert Thomas, because again, it is Robert Thomas season, and he will be winged by Braden Saad. And of course, our friend, our comedian, Jordan Kyrou. And why do I say that? Well, Jordan Kyrou is quite the jokester himself. And last night he was at a very famous comedian show. I believe it's Matt Rifle. And it's nice seeing Jordan just being out and about and just loosen up a little bit. And that's the kind of guy that Jordan is, especially on ice. He is so serious. But once he gets off that ice, he just likes to have fun and be kind of a jokester. So I think it's important for these guys to also do things to loosen themselves up. And he's been playing pretty good. So it was good seeing him out and about. So fun. Then on the second line is our captain, Braden Shen. That was a really bad announcer. Okay. But he will be winged by, of course, Alexei Torchenko and then Kasperi Kapanen. And I like this line a lot. One of my favorite lines. I think the first two lines are very strong. I think that Alexei does a really good job being on the wing with Braden, and I just think that they just work really well together, so I like that. Then on the third line, we have new St. Louis Blues, Kevin Hayes, who was acquired from Philadelphia, and he will be winged by Jakub Vanera and, of course, Sammy Blais. I think Sammy Blais has been playing fantastic in the first couple games. He has really proven that his hard work is paying off. And I think that all the fans are really getting behind him. And it's good to see Blais having a good season. And I'm so happy for him that he is on the third line. I know that he is a third line, fourth line kind of guy, but he really does deserve this. And he's been playing well. So not only does he deserve this, but the way that he's been playing, it's more beneficial for the team to have him up there. So congratulations. And then on the fourth line, it's one of our favorite guys that came back. It is Oscar Sundquist, and he will be winged by Nikita Alexandrov and then Jake Neighbors. And the funny thing about Nikita is they were doing an interview today, and his parents, obviously live out in Germany. And a little fun fact is that I'm German, so I always, root for my German players to do well. And I think the time it's going to be like 3 a.m. It's something crazy, but of course they're going to watch him play. But it's one of those things where I feel like personally I relate just a little bit more to him than most of the other guys after having that in common. So it's cool. All right, on defense for our first pair, it is Nick Leddy and Colton Paracco. Oh man, I love how they announce him when he comes out on the ice. I love it. And then our second pair is Torrey Krug and Justin Folk. And then our final pair is Marco Scandella and Tyler Tucker. And obviously, as I said, in net, it is Joel Hofer. And this is, to me, a pretty solid lineup. Now, I need to address one thing, and that is to the Coyotes fans. A lot of Coyotes fans, not just tagging me on Locked On Blues on Twitter, but a lot of Coyotes fans I've seen on social media think because, and I'm going to get into this in the next segment, think because of a certain thing in the lineup that they have an easy win. So if you want to hear why that is, make sure you stay tuned. And that's a little preview what's going to be coming up on the next segment. As far as this segment goes, I always ask you on Twitter at Locked On Blues to give me some of your game day predictions and score predictions. So let's go do this. So Justin says 4-1 Blues, goals for Amsad and Cairo and Folk for 2. I like that. I think Justin Folk actually matches up really well against the Coyotes, and I could see him having a more dominant game. With Jordan, it's basically kind of inevitable that he will get a goal, right? But I would like to see Robert Thomas get a regulation goal. I think that'd be a really good thing for him. Tristan Hatchell says 3-2 Blues. Marty says 5-2 Blues. Adam says 3-2 Blues. And Josh says 3-1 Blues. And Carrie says 3-1 Blues. So what is my prediction? What do I think the Blues are going to do? I actually think that this game is going to be a little bit closer than I thought. And it's not because of who's in net. It has everything to do with the fact that the Coyotes actually look pretty okay-ish. And I'm not saying that they're good. I said okay-ish. Okay, first off, I don't want that to be in any way interpreted. So I think the final score is actually going to be a low-scoring game. Give me 2-1 St. Louis. I hate doing shutout games because it's very hard in the – I mean, it's not hard. It's achievable. But I still think the Coyotes are going to get one. I talked a lot yesterday about how the fact that the Coyotes have been showing their dominance, especially against those New Jersey Devils, who are a cup contending team. So that does make me a little bit nervous. But overall, when it comes to the Blues, I think that they have a really strong offense and that the Coyotes defense actually probably won't be able to stop them because the Coyotes defense isn't that good. And it's not a diss on the Coyotes. I'm not trying to talk bad about them right now here in this pregame show. But at the same time, I need to be realistic. And with the weapons that the Blues have on their offense and how they've been executing, it just seems to me that they're going to be the more dominant team. And that is okay. But again, I can't say that it's going to be that crazy. And, it sucks because obviously, and I'm going to talk about this, we're missing Pavel, which means that Braden did have to move up a line. But it's one of those things where the lines, yeah, they did get shifted, but that was expected. And I think with, Bush being out, you have to really adjust. And he is such a great player. And without him, it sucks. It does. But again, I really do trust this Blues team. And I think that they're going to be just fine. I think it's just going to be a little bit more difficult and a little bit more work. But again, that's the game of hockey. You need to adjust. Speaking of things that I love, snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I always like to tell you this. I like to do 2-leg parlays now that I know that I won't lose them. So this is what you need to do. It's NFL season. Of course, your KC Chiefs are going to be a Super Bowl contending team. So what does that mean? It means take Patrick Mahomes on throwing over 220 yards and, of course, Chiefs money line. You will make some money, and hey, you could even use that money to get some cool Blues merch, or you could use it to buy food. Whatever you want to do with your money, you're going to get your money. So again, FanDuel.com/locked-on. Joel Hofer will be in net tonight. I have to tell you, it is one of those things where I was not expecting that to be the case. I for sure thought Benner would be in net, but now that I'm thinking about it, it makes a little bit more sense for Hofer to be in net tonight. So, of course, the Blues, as we know, we're playing the Arizona Coyotes. Do you ever want to call them the Phoenix Coyotes still? Sometimes I do. But they're playing the Arizona Coyotes. And argumentatively, they're one of the not as good teams, I'm being nice, in the NHL. So this does allow Joel to maybe experience, playing a regular season game early on in the season. I think that this is a good opportunity for him. And while they do have guys on the team like Clayton Keller that are really good goal scorers for the Coyotes, I do think that Hofer will be able to hold his own in net. And who knows, maybe this could be a huge momentum boost and fans will be able to gain some more confidence surrounding the young goalie. I was a little surprised, though. I think with Benner's excellent start, saving 63 out of 65, as I mentioned when I did my intro, that is a fantastic number. And I just wanted to see him back on the ice again. He made me very excited since I feel like he is back to his old self. I don't, however, like the fact that okay, hear me out. If Benner plays against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Saturday, it will be 1 week since he played a game. I don't like that. I understand resting your players is important, but this early on in the season, I just don't want him to lose that momentum from their first couple games. And I am happy for Hofer, obviously. But does anybody else feel that way? Where it's like, okay, I am happy for him. I understand it's the Coyotes, but you still want, Binnington to get as much reps as possible. And maybe that's just me overthinking it. But again, it would be nice to see Binnington in net and not a week apart. But I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have the same opinion if there was a game in between these 4 days that we waited to have. And it's a complex situation because, yes, it's against the Coyotes, but yes, you also don't want your star goalie to be waiting a week in between games. So let me know your thoughts on that because for me, I'm conflicted. But somebody that is not conflicted was head coach Craig Berube. And he did speak today. And he says, we want to get him going here. We're going to need both goalies, and it's a good opportunity for him tonight. So the way that Berube was basically insinuating is this season, they're going to be using Hofer a lot. And obviously, it won't be as much as they use Binnington, but he will be utilized. So is it crazy that the Blues are using Hofer tonight? No. Is it a little frustrating that your star goalie had a really good start to the season and now he won't be playing probably until Saturday? Yes. And two things can be true at once. But I think that wanting him to get started early on is a good sign. It means that they're going to use him maybe in bigger games coming up. And I'm not trying to take away from tonight's game by saying that it's not a big game, because in totality, in the grand scheme of things, it's not their biggest game of the season. But I hate when people go with the mindset of, oh, well, it's just the Coyotes, so it's not important. Well, it is still important because you still have an opportunity to get 2 points. And later on in the season, again, the Blues, they could be one of those teams that sneaks into the wild card spot. Every single point matters. Every single game matters. And yes, it's early. Yes, it's the third game. But I think this is a really good opportunity to see what Hofer can offer the Blues and his assets to the team. So while I understand the frustration, I can also see the other side as to what our coach said about it. And when your coach says, hey, we think this is a good opportunity, we want to get him going, then you know what? I want to stand behind him, because he is also the same guy that took the Blues to the Cup and won it all for us. So he means more to me than I think most people think. And of course, I am going to want nothing but the best for Craig Berube. So I do trust him quite a bit. And you should too. All right. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and it's important to be prepared. There's fires, there's hurricanes, there's tornadoes, earthquakes, and so much more going on, okay? And you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacteria infections. You can also customize your case and add life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jase Medical now offers customizability for your Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. Choose the medicines that fit best for you and your family's unique needs. Jase is consistently working to expand their medication offerings in these recent efforts to add more for the Jase case. So this is what I want you to do. If you know somebody, consider even getting them a gift card, because Jase Medical also offers gift cards for their Jase case. So go to jasemedical.com and enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jasmedical.com. Yeah, Boosh is still out, and it sucks. It sucks a lot because it is still day to day. And as I said, I kind of expected this to happen. When Coach Berube officially announced that he wouldn't be playing today, I wasn't surprised, but at the same time, it did make me think, okay, is he going to give us an update on what's been going on? Or is it just, hey, he's not going to play today? That's what it is. Well, there's no update. And I guess the update is that he is out. That is the update. And he is just recovering right now from an upper body injury. And it's still day to day. And that's all we know still. So he's in recovery. Do I know what the injury is? No. Do I know when he will be back? No, I mean, I'm hoping it would have been against the Penguins on Saturday, but now I'm feeling a little bit more uneasy about that just for the fact that, Coach Berube didn't say, oh, yeah, he's recovering well. There was kind of nothing on his recovery. So I am curious as to what's going on. But at the same time, there was no bad updates, right? There wasn't like, oh, yeah, he's going to need surgery or he's going to need this many days out. It's very unknown. With Pavel being out, obviously, as I stated when I was doing the lines, not much has changed except shifting around a couple of the guys because, again, when you have a guy that's in the top lines and he's out, you're going to have to move some guys around, okay? That's inevitable. But I think that overall, he will be okay. And most of the time when there's injury in the NHL, you usually hear bad news right away, like really bad news, like player will be out for X amount of time, or you just won't hear anything and then they magically show up again. I'm not surprised. I mean, yes, this injury did happen less than a week ago. It takes time for your body to recover. And right now, I guess all I can say is don't be worried yet. I said that he most likely wouldn't be playing as it was today, just for the fact that it seemed a little too soon after his injury. And especially on day-to-day injuries, you don't want to risk it by coming back too soon. And not to demean the Coyotes in any way, but it is the Arizona Coyotes. Another thing I want to say about these Coyotes fans, they think because Joel Hofer is in net tonight, that it's an automatic win for them. Hold up a second. Joel is a very good and dominant goalie. He has shown a lot of his skill, and I feel very confident with his abilities. Just because Bitter's not in net does not mean this is going to be an easy game for the Coyotes, because it won't be, because it's not going to age well, and the Coyotes are going to lose. So that's all I have today on today's pregame show of Locked On Blues. I will talk to you tomorrow for the postgame show. All right, Blues fans, can I get a let's go Blues? Let's go Blues.